Hello everyone, Douglas here and welcome to my Doctor Who review, and today I will be reviewing 42. This story is the first story to be written by future Doctor Who showrunner Chris Chibnall, and this story takes place in real time. Our cold open scene begins inside the TARDIS, and we see the 10th Doctor, played by David Tennant, and Martha, played by Fema Adjaman. We see the Doctor is working on Martha's phone, and we find out from the Doctor that he put universal roaming on Martha's phone. We hear the alarm go off, and we find out from the Doctor it's a distress signal. We see the TARDIS lands on a spaceship. We see the crew of the ship. We find out the engine went dead 4 minutes ago. We find out from the computer there is 42 minutes before impact. We see the Doctor and Martha are looking out of the window, and the ship is going to crash into the sun. Our opening scene begins. We see the Doctor is going to get the crew out by using the TARDIS, but it is blocked by heat. We find out the temperature is 3,000 degrees. Wow, talk about a burn notice. We see the Doctor is going to try and fix the engines. We have 40 minutes till impact. We find out from the Doctor they are in the Tagora system. We find out the name of the crew. We are introduced to Kathy McDonald, played by Michelle Collins, and Miley Vasta, played by William Ash. And we find out this is a mining ship, and they are mining from the sun. We see Martha is going with Riley. We have 34 minutes till impact. We see Hal Cohen, played by Matthew Chambers, and something is wrong. We find out McDonald is married to Cohen. We find out he sabotaged the ship. We see the Doctor knocks out Cohen. We see the Doctor notices the stasis chamber. We have 32 minutes till impact. We see Martha and Riley are working. We find out the ship is the SS Pentilion. We find out from Abby, played by Vanette Robinson, that she is trying to figure out what is going on with Cohen. And we see Cohen is moving. We have 30 minutes till impact. I do love how they use trivia, or in Britain, pub quiz. And there is one question I remember as a kid. It is, who had more pre-downloaded number ones, Elvis Presley or the Beatles? To be honest, I would go with the Beatles. We see the Doctor doesn't know the answer to that question, and a good line from the Doctor when he says, "Here comes the sun, no resources." We have 29 minutes till impact. We see Martha is calling her mom Francine, played by Adjoa Adoa. We see Martha is asking her mom for help. We have 28 minutes till impact. We find out from Abby the readings are very scary. We find out his body is changing, including his biological makeup. We see Cohen is walking with his eyes closed. We hear Cohen speak in an alien voice, and it says, "Burn with me." We find out from Francine that Elvis had the most downloaded songs. We see Cohen opens his eyes, and they are bright. We see Cohen puts on a welding helmet. We have 27 minutes till impact. We see the Doctor and McDonald are at the med center, and we see Scanner, played by Anthony Flanagan, and he sees that Abby burned up. We see McDonald is warning the crew. We hear one of the crew members complaining, and she says, "Please kill me now. Careful what you wish for," because we see Cohen and she gets killed. We have 24 minutes till impact. We find out from the Doctor the parasite's too aggressive, and her husband is gone. We see Cohen see Aston, played by Gary Powell, and he infects him. We see Aston is infected, and he is after Martha and Riley. We see Martha and Riley go into the escape pod. We see Riley and Aston are battling over control over the escape pod. We see McDonald sees Cohen, and we do see Cohen remembers her. We hear Cohen says that it's her fault. We see the doctor arrives, and he sees Aston, and Aston punches the control panel, and the escape pod is launched. We see Scanner freezes Cohen. I love the scene when the doctor and Aston's faces are close to each other. We see Aston felt Cohen's presence. We find out Aston is heading towards McDonald and Scanner's direction. I like the doctor's line when he says, "I'll save you!" We see the escape pod is heading towards the sun. We have 17 minutes till impact. We hear the doctor telling Scanner that he needs a spacesuit. I like how Wiley tells Martha to call her mom, and this might be the last chance he would talk to her mom. We see McDonald leads Aston to the med center. We see McDonald punches Aston and he puts him in the stasis chamber and he is dead. We find out from the doctor that he is going to remagnetize the escape pod. We see the doctor is about to go out into space. We have 12 minutes till impact. We see Martha is calling her mom, and I love the conversation with her mom, and that is just a touching moment. We do see a mystery woman, and she is tracing the call. We have 11 minutes till impact. We see the doctor is going into space. We see the doctor succeeds, and the escape pod comes back. We find out from the doctor the sun is alive, and I love the scene when he is staring at the sun, and the sun is really beautiful. We have 8 minutes till impact. We see the doctor is back in the ship. We see the doctor is infected. We see the doctor tells Martha and McDonald to take him to the stasis chamber. We have 7 minutes till impact. We see Cohen is starting to move again. We see the doctor is in the stasis chamber and Martha activates it. We see Cohen deactivates the stasis chamber. We have 4 minutes till impact. We see the doctor tells Martha to get out and go to the engine room. We see McDonald sees Cohen again. We do see McDonald admits that it is her fault. We do see Cohen is chasing McDonald. We have 3 minutes till impact, and that is how many minutes we have left until this story ends. We see McDonald is hiding in the airlock and Cohen finds her. We see McDonald sacrifices herself and McDonald and Cohen are sucked into space, and that is a powerful scene. We see Wiley and Scanner have one more door. We have 2 minutes till impact. We see the doctor is trying to fight it off. We see the doctor is losing the fight. We have 1 minute till impact. We see Martha tell Scanner and Wiley to vent the engines, dump the fuel. We see they dump the fuel and it works. We see the doctor is back to normal and the ship escapes the sun. We see the doctor and Martha say goodbye to Scanner and Wiley, and you can tell Wiley loves Martha. And we see Wiley and Martha kiss. We see the doctor gives Martha the TARDIS key. We see Martha calls her mom. We find out from her mom today is election day. We see Francine give the mystery woman her phone, and you might be wondering, what does Mr. Saxon want with the doctor? I will say this is a good story, but it's not a classic, and looking back on the story, you can tell this is what Chris Chibnall's Doctor Who would look like. And what do I mean by that? Let's take a look at the trade. Villains that are not supposed to be the villains. The good guys are actually the bad guys. And countdowns. Sound familiar? I will say, watching this as a kid, when the good guys are the bad guys, I thought it was a clever idea, but seeing it in Chibnall's run in Doctor Who as showrunner, I would be like, I've seen this before, and it's too cliche. I did find out that some props were reused in the episode. The stasis chamber was the MRI from Smith & Jones, and the red spacesuit was supposed to be the Owen spacesuit from the Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit. I will admit, when I got into the story, we don't know who the characters are, and we are just at the action, and you have to hear their names when they are called in the story. I do like David Tennant and Freema Agyeman in this story, and they both give a great performance in this story. I do like the real time in this story, and it worked very well, and there is a lot of things going on in this story. This story had 7.41 million viewers, making it the third most popular broadcast on British television, and the show is gaining popularity at this point. I do like Graham Hopper's direction in the story, and this is the guy who directed The Caves of Androzani, and he knew how to make 42 work. It's full of action, intense moments, and good drama. The script by Chris Chibnall is good, and I will give 42 a 9 out of 10. So that is my review of 42. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and I will see you next time where I'll be reviewing the two-part story, Human Nature and Family of Blood. And you can say it was based off of book.